Lied Can Fly, podcast for contemporary art song. Hello and a warm welcome to Lied Can Fly. My name is Sabine Berg and I created this podcast to give contemporary art song new life and many listeners around the world, and I feel so gifted and happy that so many wonderful composers and musicians are joining this podcast. It's such a miracle, and as I love miracles because they can be everywhere when you open up your senses, I'm very, very happy today to have Michael Finnissy and Lotte Betstein as a guest. Hello, Michael, and hello, Lotte.
Hello.
Hi, Sabine.
Good to hear you and good to see you. I will present Lotte a tiny little bit because in the last podcast it was Michael. And I think presenting both will be just too long and then they won't have time to talk. So Lotte Betstein is born in Berlin and studied in Melbourne at the Conservatorium of Music and at the Royal Academy of Music in London. She comes from an artistic family, and her way also led her to Italy, to the Accademia Teatro alla Scala, and to Germany, to the Vokalsolisten Stuttgart. And she worked with wonderful singers as Dame Felicity Lott, Dame Anne Murray, and Susan Manoff. And I just have to pick some little things because it's such a long biography already. She was the winner of the Oxford Leader Young Artist Prize in 2019 of the Royal Overseas League competition. Just a year later, she was Young Artist alumnus with Britten Peers Arts, and also Young Artist of the Year last year with the Royal Philharmonic Society, and this year she is Artist in Residence with the Norfolk and Norwich Festival. And Lotte is one of the leading interpreters of contemporary music, and she brings her wonderful and warm-hearted and very special voice together with so many interesting compositions. We can only say thank you for bringing up to life and to light. And of course, she's also singing in Germany at the Bayerische Staatsoper. She has been a guest at the Festspiele Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. That's where I live. So a very huge, wonderful festival that was also inaugurated by Yehudi Menuhin and founded by Matthias von Hülsen. And she has been singing at the Altburg Festival, the Wigmore Hall, the Auditorio Nacional Madrid, the Grand Théâtre de Genève, and worked with so many wonderful soloists and artists, and also a lot with chamber music specialists like the Ligeti Quartet, the Marcius Trio, the Armida Quartet, and of course with many, many composers like Michael Finnissy, Stuart McRae, with Brett Dean, Peter Maxwell Davis, and there are many CDs she's been recording as well. There's also a new CD coming out this year in September called Everything You've Ever Lived with Delphian Records. And what I've been seeing, Lotte, you've been collaborating a lot with guitarists. That's so interesting. The voice and the guitar, to me, is a very ancient and very special. And well, I mean, Orpheus was singing just with a lute, so this is very basic, and you have quite a huge voice, but you also sing a lot with guitar, and I'm very thrilled about your new CD because it will be with guitar. So I stop my presentation now.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction, and nice to be reminded of some of those things I'd forgotten as well. But yeah, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. How did that come, Lotte? I've got to ask you, how did this interest in contemporary music arise, and how does it come that you also like very tiny collaborations, like just voice and guitar, very pure, and you could be singing with huge orchestras all the time, but you make very special choices in your life.
Yes, I with the chamber music interest, I think that has always been there for me, and that's always, to me, been the most important form of music making, and remains that, actually. And I always would want to keep that at the forefront of what I'm doing, and that is collaborating with one other musician, like a guitarist or a pianist, or in some cases, accordion even, or just viola. I've been doing recitals with my father, who's a viola player, and that's lovely too. So I don't know, chamber music is just incredibly important to me. I love the intimacy of it on stage. It sort of feels like a little musical family. Sometimes it's literally family, and or family that you've chosen somehow when you develop a partnership with one other musician. And it allows, I think, musically and vocally, it allows a sense of freedom, of style, of of sort of dynamic range, of textural range, and the intimacy of it. I think the immediacy of it is really wonderful to share with the audience. Of course, you can share any performance with the audience if you're standing on the stage at the Nationaltheater in München. Like you know that the audience is there and you're sharing it with them, but you can't really see them. So it's really lovely in recital where the audience is so close to you, sometimes all around you, and I just love being able to share the music in that really close and immediate way and see the responses and tell a story sort of directly to people. That is very fulfilling for me. So I think that's where the chamber music interest has arisen from. And then also from my musical past, growing up playing violin and then cello, and doing chamber music with family from a very young age. And then I think with the contemporary music interest, I have to say that has definitely come from my musical family. My father is a composer as well as a viola player, and I grew up actually hearing him compose, in the next room. It was just very early days of Sibelius, the notation program, hearing back then quite rudimentary MIDI sounds being plugged away into a score, and it just felt very natural to me. It just felt like a part of the soundscape of my childhood, or him sitting at a piano and just figuring things out. And then actually also singing his music from a fairly young age. Well, I grew up in Berlin, but when I first moved to Australia, I joined a children's choir called Gondwana Voices, and it was a really phenomenal organization. They're still going. It's a national choir, and it was very, very professionally run. We did lots of international touring and recording and collaborations with major symphony orchestras, which also included a lot of contemporary work. And my father, Brett, also wrote for the choir. And I remember singing a song cycle of his just for choir, actually, when I was 10, I think. So his musical language has actually also been part of my musical upbringing, not just in terms of it being my family, but also my musical training and other contemporary composers as well. One very fond memory with the choir was singing the Australian premiere of John Adams on the Transmigration of Souls, a really beautiful and devastating work. That was, I think, with the Sydney Symphony. So yeah, there was a lot of new music going on, and I just have always carried that with me. And so I can't really explain where the interest in new music and working with composers comes from, other than that, really. I felt like an artistic need to be part of creating new music as well as just interpreting it, and to express myself creatively through collaboration rather than through composition myself.
Yeah, that's what I
That
thought.
feels like, yeah, it feels like my way.
It's more creative.
Exactly.
And you're so close to the composers and to the source of music, so that when you're singing it, it is a part of you become part of the creative process.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it's just an idea of my mind. When you do a lot of chamber music as a vocalist, you sing with your ears. So you're very aware of what the others are doing as well. And if you do it with a big orchestra, you might know the score and you might know, oh, in this line there is a there are some woodwinds, but when you do it in this intimate, small circle, I think maybe you also sing with your ears and you listen to what the other lines are doing, and so you're like a painter as well, because you can also play with colors in a better way. You can listen to your own voice more. So I thought it might be something that is something with your own ears while as a musician. So that was just an invention of my mind, but
That's so good. That is such a great way of putting it. Yeah, like singing or playing with your ears as well. Yeah, it feels like it's you become sort of this channel that has an in and an out. And you're right. I mean, of course, it's a huge joy and a pleasure to sing with orchestra. And I have a Sitzprobe coming up on Monday for a new opera that I'm rehearsing currently for the Aldeburgh Festival by Colin Matthews, actually, another collaboration with a composer. And I'm so excited for that. It's going to be wonderful to hear those orchestral colors for the first time. But I know that, yeah, it does. There are limits to what it does for you as a singer. You do need to go into a different gear in terms of your technique and your sound production, because you have to get over that sound as well. So yeah, there's a little bit less freedom there. And I think certainly you're spot on with that phrase. I think I'm going to hang on to that and use it again, I think.
And last year you recorded the CD Alternative Readings with Michael Finnissy. And did you know each other for a longer time, or was that your first collaboration?
It was our first collaboration, actually, and it felt extremely fortuitous, especially at such a strange time that we were all experiencing, because it was really this whole project and this collaboration was born during the lockdowns, as you mentioned on the last episode, and it became this oasis of creative thought, I think, for all of us, or certainly for me, and to have an opportunity to work closely with a composer who I had respected and admired for such a long time, right at that point especially, felt really like a huge gift. And it was, yeah, I was just very, very grateful to the trio whose idea this was really in the first place, for reaching out to me and offering this opportunity to create something new together, and to then develop a friendship with Michael since then has just been
Mm.
just a huge privilege. I feel very, very lucky to have him
Oh,
in my life. Hi, Michael.
I feel lucky. I feel lucky to listen to you both. So Michael, how was it for you to work with Lotte?
Sheer pleasure, I would say, because singing is something I do myself. I know in a very small way. I sing with a choir, and so I know what you have to deal with, and I deeply respect somehow the naturalness of Lotte's singing, because it's, as you know, and all can imagine, you're not only dealing with your own sound, you're dealing with a text. And so the words become something else that you have to project to the audience. And what's so magical in a way is that the hours I spend at my desk alone thinking about what these words mean, how they can be articulated in sound, musical sound, then becomes a public experience. It's something that you're very, very dependent on the singer being able to communicate with sensitivity and, you know, appropriateness, because it's the musical line and the musical gestures, but also the text. And of course, one has to love the text to the extent where you become it when you're writing. And the way Lotte can do that apparently so naturally and so spontaneously is very, very precious. And I've been very lucky with singers in my life. I've worked with a lot of an earlier generation of pioneer singers, people like Josephine Nendick, Mary Thomas, Jane Manning. I mean, these are great ladies of British song. And I worked with all of them, not only as composer, but as accompanist too. And you just learn so much. I'm with Lotte on the chamber music thing too. I just love writing for small numbers of people.
Mm.
It's the best.
It is the best.
Uh, and today we're talking about Blessed Be again, because I really got fond of the song cycle. And in the first podcast, we had Blessed Be 1, and today it will be Blessed Be 3. And there are two different versions of Blessed Be 3. So on the CD, Alternative Readings by Divine Art Records Métier, we've got the version with voice, recorder, and piano. But there's also a version with, I think, with recorder, cello, and piano. Is it right?
No, it isn't.
Good.
It's
Good
either
to correct me.
recorder or flute,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, not many recorder players play contemporary music regularly. And the piece was actually written for a very good recorder player who has commissioned a lot of music for his instrument. This is a guy called John Turner. And he was responsible for asking me to write for recorder for only the second time I've been asked to do that. And it has a different sound to the flute. But of course, the flute is like the modern version of the recorder, rather like the car is the modern version of the horse. It's that kind of thing. And I really don't mind if the line is there played by an instrument. I don't mind whether it's a flute, an oboe, a violin, another voice, because to me, the music in compositional terms is about the lines intersecting. It's like a conversation. So there is only the one version of Blessed Be 3. There
Okay.
are two versions of Blessed Be 2, but that's a confusing and very long story. We won't do that.
So, and we are going to listen to Blessed Be 3 very soon. And when I listened to it, I was struck by the difference between Blessed Be 1 and Blessed Be 3. And Blessed Be 1 was more influenced, you say, by hymnal harmonies and folk song. And this Blessed Be 3 feels much more Zen to me. I can't explain it. It's I feel like being somewhere in Vietnam in the mountains, seeing some mist coming over the water, or I just feel on a completely different landscape. And also with the piano parts coming in, there's some dark colors in the pianos, or maybe not dark, maybe just deep colors.
The moment where the piano first comes in, I have to say, is one of my favorite moments on the whole album. I just find it so enchanting. But yeah, I mean, we're about to hear it, so I won't give too much away.
Yeah, there's some really very interesting frictions,
But
and at the same
yeah,
time the recorders and the voice seems to speak to each other, but also they
contrasts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, Michael, I felt there's a point of silence where when you hear it the first time, you might feel, is it finished? But no, then it's going to Blessed be ye that weep now in a very, very, very pianissimo way. So while Blessed be 1 is just floating through like one piece, it has some very different parts and mountains and contrasts in it and very interesting moments.
Do you know,
It's more dynamic.
actually, Blessed Be 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all the same melody. They are versions of a single hymn tune melody with different inflections and different variants each time. And so for me, the fun, if you like, of writing it was to put this melody with three different accompaniments. Firstly, the double bass or the cello and the piano, and they only play single lines. They only have one note at a time each. In Blessed Be 3, it's with the flute and the piano, so it's a different sonic relationship. And the piano part is very elaborate. So the colors, of course, and the impression of what the piano is doing is like the difference between Piero della Francesca and Rembrandt. You have this immense range of color and depth in the piano part instead of something very, very still and almost withdrawn. And then in Blessed Be 2, I add the whole trio. So formerly it was a different ensemble, but it was an ensemble of instruments rather than just one or two people playing. But the melody line, what Lotte will be singing, is almost the same, different fragments of the same melody.
Oh.
And placed in different octaves, and yeah.
Yes, if you shift the melody up a third or down a whole tone, and you keep the intervals changing, so semitones become whole tones and so on and so forth, you just get a different feeling about the melody. And the melody is cut up into, let's say, 4 bits, which go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 3, 4, 2, or 2, 1, 3, 4. And it's playing with that, like 4 verses that you might sing in a choir, the same tune, but here it's very slightly varied. And of course, the accompaniment, if that's what it is, the other participants, I think, change the perspective each time.
This was Blessed Be 3 by Michael Finnissy with Lotte Steen voice, Helen Vidovich flute, and Olga Steko piano. You can find this wonderful piece on the CD Alternative Readings at Divine Art Records, Métier. Michael and Lotte, how is it to listen to it after a couple of time? How is it to listen to your own recording?
Well, I mean, it's always confronting, a little confronting when you hear your own recordings or your own voice. There's a little moment, a little frisson of like, oh gosh, that's me. How is it sounding? But immediately I think, and I find this with this whole disc, to be honest, I get so sort of swept up in the interplay of voice and instruments, and the way that the vocal melody is constructed, that it's almost like it's not me anymore. It doesn't matter. It's just I just find it very engrossing as music to hear, and I lose my own sense of sort of identity to it necessarily, in a way that I don't think I do with other recordings that I've made. I find that that's the first thing that strikes me. But yeah, the contrast to Blessed Be 1 is just so strong, and yet there's also that similarity. I remember in learning and recording this, the vocal color is so different. There's a sort of clarion bell like intensity with the opening section of Blessed Be 3 that it's quite the opposite from how we approached Blessed Be 1, with this really sort of airy, light, barely sung sort of quality. So just texturally, these two, even just these two alone, these two sections of what is a 4-part cycle, offer such a huge range in vocal colorization. It was just a gift. And then the journey that Blessed Be 3 goes on vocally and melodically as well is just goes through a bigger landscape, as you said before, than Blessed Be 1. I love them both.
And then on the CD, you Wisdom is following immediately. So to me, this piece Wisdom is also interconnecting with maybe with many other works of Michael. I don't know, but I felt that you were giving so much personal, but also impersonal quality to it. I can't explain it in English, so that you give yourself so much into it, but at the same time, as you said, it's not you. So it's very much like when you give yourself away so much, it becomes something else that is very strong. And I feel the same with Wisdom, that there's some connection with this old language, and you're coming from Australia, so the language of the Aborigines. There's some connection. I feel like that you are also connecting, and Michael is connecting with his music to very old truth and wisdom that we should not forget today.
That's interesting that you picked up on that. I hadn't really considered that before, but yeah, I think with sections of Wisdom, I felt like I wasn't myself as well, and which is a really lovely space to be in a way. It felt like Michael is accessing through the voice, or sort of through me, a different time or a different voice or a different energy or place, and you just have to go with that. You just have to sort of be a conduit and like shake off any, in a way, sort of sense of identity, or that's what your identity becomes through that section that is asked of you. And in places not a beautiful sound. It's not about singing beautifully as it is in other parts of the album or in other works or in other sections of the piece necessarily, but rather to create vocal sound, or to find something more guttural or earthier. And I always get a real thrill out of music that asks the singer to find more of that, to find more vocal sound, or to not try and sound beautiful, but to just sound. And yeah, I'm drawn to that always. So I loved that in the opening of Wisdom, the section that's in Indigenous Australian language, that it really starts with this very sort of guttural and chesty sound. It's fun, and it feels like it approaches the piece from the get-go in such a yin way, feet on the earth. It's great.
And Michael, is composing also connecting to ancient wisdom or to ancient cultures? Is it something that inspires you or that is important to you to find some old connections that we might have lost to bring them back to us?
Oh yes, absolutely essential. But I think all of these time zones exist in the present for us. So I empathically connect with the indigenous language, its sounds. When I was in Australia, did a little bit of work with a didgeridoo player, and he was teaching, I think they were about 17 or 18, these two guys that were learning how to, it's a very complicated instrument, even if it only makes one drony sound. Apparently, everything that this instrument does is symbolic of human experience and of journeying. And these ideas are absolutely essential because it takes such a long time to put a note on a piece of paper, and then it lives for that period of sound in real time, not imaginary time. And so I just like the connectivity, bringing all these things together now, because I don't think we're any different from ancient peoples or different peoples, different traditions. Yeah, of course there are local differences, and that's also very important. But the extent to which, and this section of the piece was actually Lotte's idea, because when we were floating around all these ideas for the piece, she said, "Oh, what about Australia? You haven't got an example of anything from Australia." And so I went immediately to the collection of books that I brought back with me from Australia, and there was a suitable scene were the myths of about the myths of the indigenous people of Australia, and their stories are still our stories. They're very special, and there was a little scene, an encounter between two people where one of them leaves, a man and a woman, and in the morning, the man goes away, leaving the woman on her own. And I thought this is because the piece was focused on loneliness and things that can happen when you have a pandemic going on and you have to cope with stuff, sometimes on your own. And it was the perfect start to the piece. And somehow, if I read a text, it's actually not difficult to become the text. I suppose I've always been able to do it. My imagination just works that way. And it's a bit of a curse as well as a gift, because one can seriously overdo that business. One has to withdraw a little bit to get the notes on the paper. But the extent to which Lotte is able to become that vision and that reality is astonishing. It always astonishes me when people can do that. They can become your music, and it's just remarkable. A bit scary.
For the listeners, it's wonderful because as a listener, you experience a singer becoming a piece and a piece becoming a singer, and it's a wonderful experience for the listener.
Well, that's why music is so epic, isn't it? I mean, there is nothing like that anywhere else. I mean, yeah, some paintings can do that too. You can connect with them. That's why we have art. It really is so special and so precious.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's magic. It's actually magic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It is.
One shouldn't try and explain it.
No.
Yeah, that's normally we shouldn't do a podcast. We can't talk about it. Trying to talk about something you can't talk about is a wonderful adventure as well.
Yeah, true. It's nice to just open the door to it. I was thinking, how can what can I contribute to that? And I don't want to. What Michael said is perfect. And yes, it is magic, but have to leave it at that. To be part of it is just a indescribable joy and privilege. Yeah, it moves me to tears, honestly. It's so cool. It's so cool that we get to do that. And so that's why I love working with composers and bringing things to life. And I can't explain it. I don't know what goes through my head necessarily. It's just a feeling thing.
Yeah.
The music tells you what it wants, and that's it. And then you just find it together. And yeah,
That's
I don't know.
interesting.
I've just, mm,
There's a wonderful architect, Louis Kahn. I got his book Silence and Light many, many years ago. And he was totally genius architect. And he always asked before he made a drawing, what does it want to be? What does it want to be? So as you say, the music is telling you how it wants to be or what it wants to be. He was just asking this question, not what do I want to do, but what is it, what does it want to be? And yeah, something in between silence and light, so
it's not just for the performers. What does the music want of you? But also perhaps also for you, Michael, what does the piece want of you? What does this idea want you to turn it into?
Well, I have to let all the barriers, I have to have the courage to
Yeah,
let all the barriers down and just let the music happen. And when I can do that, then that's when composition starts.
exactly.
If I'm
Yeah.
thinking about anything else, I just have to clear my head of everything else. And it sounds easy, it isn't, but it's not difficult either. Somehow you reach that state, don't you, when perhaps that same moment when you open your mouth to make the first sound of a piece, everything else disappears.
Yes, it's totally unconscious in a way.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, and
not
has to be.
totally, of course, but yeah, it has to. You have to try and reach this sort of very, yes, that space between what did you say, Sabine? It's light and
silence and light.
silence and light, where there's this other channel that just comes in, and you have to, yeah, of course, you're thinking about it, lots of other things and technique and all of that, but yeah, to some extent, you just need to sort of empty everything else and then just let that channel speak. And it does if you let it. And that's what we're looking for. But to
Yeah,
find music that really, where the channel is strong,
yeah,
is really amazing.
yeah. And
And I feel
Michael's
like that
music
with
is
Michael's
so,
music.
yeah, so
So
there's
strong.
such a big intensity, and this moment of irritation that I had with Blessed Be 3 when I thought, oh, is it finished just before it goes into a slower, very piano part where blessed be are ye that weep now, for ye shall laugh, is starting, and then it ends up, blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. And this is so, there's such a deep truth in it, and Michael's music is just going into a crescendo that to me seems so natural, and you get the feeling it's so right, and then it's opening up into some nothingness or silence, and there but the composition, when you see the score, it's still going on. And I love this moment, Michael, when you don't finish with the piece with a note, but with two breaks, and you're just composing the silence afterwards, and that's something that is just so beautiful.
Something silence. I like that. Mm.
So I just felt so it just feels right to me, and I can't explain it. It just feels totally natural and right, and the whole, when I heard it again, I thought, oh, the whole podcast is, is coming from this pandemic time, and when you're totally hungry and alone, and then suddenly I'm sitting here at the Baltic Sea in a tiny house, and I'm connected to you guys. I feel very blessed, and I feel very much filled up with beautiful music and wonderful people, and I can't believe it, So that's all this mystery also happened through the podcast to myself. So
Lovely thing to say. That's
yeah.
really beautiful.
Especially when you do the pandemic alone and with a child, and the father lives in Britain, so and all the borders are closed, and
That must have been really tough.
it was, and we were also afraid of them dying. I think everybody went to many existential moments, and then the CD with the wisdom, with the piece wisdom, it brings it to a high intensity of life, and I think that life is always having so many different, how you say, like yin and yang. There's so many, even when the darkest times, there can be so much light, and so much after the volcano destroys the village, the earth is blossoming. So it always has so many sides that can be lost, but at the same time there can be a richness inside it, and new things coming up, and it always gives us hope to continue.
Especially with wisdom as well, because Michael found inspiration in so many different writers for that piece. And I think that even just the fact that it's sort of a multi-author libretto, as it were, sort of speaks to that in a way as well. There's so many different varying viewpoints on this notion of solitariness or loneliness, but also finding faith and joy and hope through that somehow. I mean, you could not get sort of more far-reaching textual inspiruses, I think, for a piece. Of course, we start off in Indigenous Australia, but we have Julian of Norwich come in. We've got Dante. Michael, what else is there? There's a
Frankenstein's
bit of
monster.
Frankenstein. Oh, that bit is so moving. The Frankenstein bit is so beautiful. Yeah, it's very colorful language-wise as well, and offers so many different perspectives on this notion. So yeah, so that's an amazing work, and we've been performing it again after having recorded it and done like a little sort of online premiere of it. We're now performing it live finally, and it's taken on a different sort of life of its own. It's just been really incredible to share that piece in particular with an audience. But I'm also really looking forward to finally performing the complete Blessed Be, all four of them, this summer, end of July, actually, at the Three Choirs Festival. And that will be, I think, a very, very special and moving experience to feel the path through all four of the Blessed Be songs, and to sort of really like viscerally feel how they differ and how they relate to each other, and to feel this undulating hymn tune being broken up in real time and put back together, and to be sort of responsible for that. I think I'm really, really looking forward to. And the cycle ends with just voice alone, so I think it will be actually quite a moving experience. Yeah, can't wait.
It's so good to have you.
You should come along.
Yeah. And I would love to continue talking for the next 6 hours, but we've got to find an end. Michael
to go back
and Lotte,
to
thank you so
Operaland.
much. And thank you so much for doing such a great work and being so open-minded and heartful and versatile in all your colors, and also thank you for this intensity, because not everybody is giving so much, and I sometimes you must be tired when you give so much, but it always comes back to you. Does it, Michael? Do you feel it comes back when you give it all?
I think human beings are so wonderful and so fascinating. Yes, of course, it always comes back because it needs to. And you and Lotte make it worthwhile, make that journey worthwhile, however complicated or however stressful it becomes. It's worthwhile.
Mm.
Well, I just want to say to whoever's listening also, this project and this album and the opportunity to work with Michael really has been one of the greatest joys of my musical life thus far. And just Michael, thank you for writing such beautiful music for voice and for me and with me in mind, and then even the ones that existed before this project that have been sort of reworked for me. I don't know, it just fits like a glove, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. I've just so enjoyed getting to know you over the past few years, and I look forward to more.
Oh.
Will be. Likewise, Lotte.
Mm. Thank
And
you, you
Sabine.
both. Oh, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you, Sabina. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure.
This was Lead Can Fly with Michael Finnissy and Lotte Bedstein. Thank you for listening and hope you join us next time.